Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Afterparty. Players, how are we feeling on this first leg of the Divine Labyrinth?
We heisted, and now we're doing a labyrinth. God, I just love D&D. It's so good.
I'm feeling divine, Amanda.
I'm not.
Eric, how are you feeling? How's all the entrapping you've been doing of us?
Good. Nothing is more fun than sending all of you out of the room. I really enjoy it.
I know, it really is fun.
I also want to say that since I record in person with Amanda, we're here in the Multitude studio. She does leave the room when I'm doing the episodes with Julia. And then when I need to get her back, obviously with Brandon, I send him a message. The thing that happens is that when I call Amanda in, because she's like 20 feet away from me, but there is a window in between me and her. She can see me.
Eric, soundproof glass.
It's soundproof for sure, but she can see me. So I knock on the window, and every time Amanda looks like she's in 4th grade and her teacher told her to stop sharpening pencils so much.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not proportional. It's simple. Listen. That's on me.
This is a little bit of a tangent here, but I wanted to sympathize with you, Amanda, because I realized the other day that I still have that impulse because I was on the rooftop gardening and giving my crows peanuts. And nobody knows that we give the crows peanuts. And I always in the back of my head, I'm like, is it annoying that there's peanut shells and or birds everywhere to everyone? And my neighbor came up and she started chatting for me for a second. And I had to, I felt like I got caught giving peanuts to the birds.
Caught peanut-handed.
I was just snacking.
I wasn't skateboarding. I was just using it as a measure. It was just I'm just holding it.
Yeah. And so I still have that grade school feeling of, oh shit, I broke a rule. I have to move. I can't do anything else but move now.
I simply have to leave. Yeah.
Well, Brandon, you shouldn't live next to your middle school principal. That's on you.
God, can you imagine? You move into an apartment next door is like Mr. Llewellyn from middle school.
Shout out to Dr. Dowling, my elementary school teacher, who was indicted by the police for stealing computers, and the BOE fired him and all that stuff. Shout out to Dr. Dowling.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm excited to debut a new patron feature here on the Afterparty.
If you like hearing things about our personal lives, is the transition.
Eric,
you can
you're
have
exactly right. Because we are starting something new, and on Party Planning, which, as you know, is our patron-only podcast that we release every 2 weeks in audio and video form, an additional bi-weekly/fortnightly podcast from us, just for patrons, we're introducing a new kind of episode called
The Conversation Pit, baby.
The Conversation Pit.
How mid-century modern of us.
Every house should have one, but now our Patreon does.
Yep, there's shag carpet all over the place, and it feels like you can nap at any given moment. And this is, of course, not of course, now you know for the first time, this is where you can ask us anything about ourselves, our lives, sandwiches, our opinions on stuff, the kind of thing that sometimes you ask very good questions for the after parties, but there's so much to talk about in the show that those questions are at the bottom of the list. And so now, if you're a patron, you can join the brand new Conversation Pit channel in our patron-only Discord starting today, and you can leave your questions for us there. And hey, that is the cue. That is the line. Your questions are right there. Do it.
We're folding this into our content strategy that we've been doing on the party planning. So we're still going to do random other stuff that we do on party planning. We're going to hopefully do more Conversation Pits episodes so y'all know more stuff about us. If you're a patron, your questions will be considered first. However, if you do submit personal questions to us via social media, and also when we ask for after party questions, or you do ask personal ones and we don't get to them in after party, they will be moved to that document and you will be considered after the patron stuff, or we will fold it in as well. Also, if you want to listen to this, the first episode that we do of this will end up on the full main feed. It won't be just the preview. We'll put the full one up there.
They get a whole episode, Eric?
A full free episode about us
and
people they know in their ears.
That's such a deal.
Crisp video.
Curbsed.
Curbsed
So
video.
curbsed.
It's going to be great.
So everyone can like, we'll put it public on Patreon, the video. So everyone can watch the video too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Julia's 7'4".
No
You
one
would
knows.
be surprised. I seem so small.
And
so
Victor
full of anger.
Wembanyama, same
Damn it, I was
height.
going to say that.
No, okay, you can say it.
No.
No, you say it.
No.
No, go ahead.
No, you know.
No, you already did it.
Eric told me yesterday about Victor Wembanyama, who was the first draft pick last year, and his proportions are very funny.
He's very large. He's very large.
That's cool. I love that.
Well, guys, I can't wait to meet all of you in the conversation pit in a few weeks' time. But in the meantime, lots to talk about with the end of the Boiling Reef arc and the beginning of the Divine Labyrinth. So let's take our minds out of the maze that we are trapped in earlier to the conclusion of the heist and the reveal of that freaking door in episode 25, Legends of the Boiling Reef 3. Wow, this was a lot. And Eric, I just want to start with this question from Ceci. How many doorknobs is too many?
I would say there should be one doorknob, and any door that has more than one doorknob can go suck my ass.
I think 0 doorknobs.
I think everything should be push or pull.
Everything should be push or pull.
Wow.
It's the door has a handle on both sides, so you don't know which one is pull and which one is push. So that's the puzzle.
Okay.
Or it's one of those like farmhouse doors where the top can swing open so you can like call your children in for dinner with a cowbell.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's only scenario where 2 knobs is okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I think 3 doorknobs is appropriate as a puzzle.
Well, we know that now.
Yeah.
Let's drill down on this. This is from Save Man. I'm curious, Eric, did you expect the players to have such a hard time with the door? What a read. Also, what was your thought process for creating the ship, the crew, and the door? Unique pieces on all of it compared to what we've seen so far.
Hey, Eric, did you think we were that dumb?
It doesn't matter.
When we jumped through it and ended up in the ocean, which you did tell us we would do, and then we acted shocked. Was that bad for you?
It was really funny. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny.
Me too.
No, I mean, like, again, when you make puzzles, when you're GMing a game, you either have a very specific answer in mind, and the answer is, like, mechanical. You know, it's like a video game puzzle, right? It's like, you know, when you have to do like a real life quiz in a video game, it's always like, what the fuck? I don't know how many number Pokemon there are in the Ghost Gym. Like, I don't know why you're asking me this question. That's a reference to Pokemon Platinum. But it's more about like, you have to do these series of things. It's more of like an action puzzle, right? It's not like an actual puzzle. Or you just kind of set something up and you see what happens. So I was thinking like, you guys need to discover the knobs in the various ways that you did. And you were close. You just like didn't look at the door at
correct.
all, which was the funny part.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this is like the second time in this campaign in which Eric has done a very traditional D&D puzzle, and we have failed miserably at it.
I mean, the only D&D media I consume is this podcast and occasionally, others. But this is, I don't know, like I have my gameplay, you have seen it all. And the puzzles I solve are the puzzles Eric gives me. So for borrowing those traditional D&D puzzles, I'm like, what?
I feel like this is like not a con, but like a long thing coming, like where Eric was like, I'm going to spend like 4 years teaching these people to not expect the easy things, and then I'm going to throw the easy things at them. And now we're going to be like, all right, now we got to look for the third knob, and we got to
Well, if we drill down on this though, the, I guess, D&D puzzle, quote unquote, is doing an investigation check to find a secret door, the third knob, right?
Right.
The Eric puzzle, it was the brain thing. Was making sure that the revealed brain reflected off the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened that you did that already, but you didn't do the basic thing as well. I thought the hard thing would have been, I need to drag an enemy over here to unlock it, a la an iris scanner.
Yeah, but isn't that also a classic D&D puzzle where like the light crystals in the wall thing? Am I making that
but it
up?
was more like an action movie. I was comparing it to like an iris, like I said, an iris scan in
retinal scan.
Retinal scan. No, Julia, I need to see how big. You have to get really engaged in something, and your iris needs to get really big.
I have to look at something beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell me why my brain just said more like rectum scan.
Oh no, Amanda!
I don't know.
Oh no!
I don't know.
That's a real Dungeons and Daddies puzzle. That's different. So no, it was like kind of like, well, that's why I did 3. It was like regular doorknob, more standard, make an investigation roll, and then kind of like a action movies type thing, which I usually do.
But my point is that the next puzzle, we're gonna get ready to look for the easy classic solution, and then we're gonna start missing the Eric puzzles, and it's just a cycle that you've put us upon.
That's fine by me. Welcome to conflict, my friend.
That's why you have different players who have different solutions to these kind of puzzles.
That's why you have Julia, who can think through puzzles, and me and Amanda, who can sit there and be like, hello!
Yeah.
Brandon, I would like to push back and say someone paid $5 for a clue.
It wasn't me, though. Just want to say
It wasn't Julia. Someone did pay $5. Or instead, give your DM $5.
I think more DMs should demand money for easier puzzles.
Money for services.
Fair
enough.
Fair.
Here's a question from Colin Wade. As a hive mind, do the other individuals and or Audrey the Rotten Queen herself feel pain when one member is attacked?
Well, we don't know that these people are associated with Audrey the Rotten Queen.
We do not.
We're not certain. We're simply supposing and putting pieces together.
The hive mind people on the boat?
I sniffed the air. I didn't get any necrotic kind of Audrey the Rotten Queen smell when I did my Arcana check.
My takeaway was that these people were not zombie folk.
Yeah.
No.
But, Eric confirmed it.
They're not. But I think that maybe this is just a general question about hive minds.
Yeah.
And Audrey has a necrotic army of, the undead, etc.
Right, but we don't know that they're like, a hive mind connected to Audrey.
They're not LAN networked.
Right. They don't have an intranet.
All right, nerd Amanda.
We had a very interesting explanation from someone in Discord about networking, which is great.
Brandon, don't you dare talk about all the IT professionals who love to join the party.
It's their Patreon pledges really driving the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I did just Amanda, like 14-year-old Amanda at her house with like 4 other people doing Halo LAN parties.
Absolutely not a thing that happened.
I only faxed my Neopet zine to other teens on the internet. I did not do any local networking with IRL friends.
I've never done a LAN party. That never happened. I think I got to the point where I had like friends who wanted to play video games with me when Xbox Live was already going down. I did it on like Halo 2, and like shout out to Nick Springer, shout out to all my other friends from high school who I played tons of Halo with.
Cece and I traded with our Game Boy Color link cables. And shout out where shout out is due to Lyle, Tinkerbell of Computers, who did share that same Wi-Fi no router is called a mesh or peer-to-peer network. Yes. Everything on the network acts as an equal rather than the traditional hierarchy.
Makes sense.
Thank you, Lyle.
Yeah.
I know stuff.
I will say, Eric, if you care about latency with your team and about true ponage, you got to try that LAN party,
Hey, Brandon, shut up about your true ponage. You jumped through a door and landed in the water. Shut up about you.
Yeah, it was awesome. No, this was so fun. It felt the best kind of frustrating where I knew the answer was there. We were able to try things. I really felt the stakes of the guards noticing and of shit happening to Cammy and Havana as we were not there. But I mean, Julia, how was your experience of being separated from the party? I feel like you're always watching me and Brandon get up to shenanigans and being like, guys, get good.
It's not even like guys get good. It's guys roll better, please. A lot of the shenanigans y'all get up to is because those rolls were bad for the heist. They were not good.
Yeah,
Truly.
They were not.
I don't know what happened to Amanda, but now Amanda has been drugged down into my wasteland of bad rolls.
I don't know.
I think that's the problem when you two are together and we separate the party is Amanda starts getting infected by your bad rolls.
Well, it's a good thing that we didn't do that.
That we're not doing that. Checks watch 2 episodes later.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, sometimes we realize patterns too late.
The thing about the door, though, is that, like, you didn't know what was behind the door until you opened the door. So it's like, think about it. This door should have 3 knobs on it because there's like something very secret inside of it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
So the whole time you guys were like, oh, why does this door suck so much? And I'm like, well, there's something very important inside of it. It's like, that's why.
I think that the problem was we thought the door sucked so much because we thought it was one thing and then it ended up being another thing, So you get it as a player in your head like, oh, I know the solution to this problem and it's that this thing is a portal to another part of the ship or something like that,
right.
Instead of, hey, we have to open 3 individual doorknobs at the same time.
I mean, Eric, traditionally, people put locks on doors as opposed to more knobs.
It had a
lock.
key.
This is a lock. There was a key. You
had a
just
key and
got
had a
it
retinal
immediately. You just knocked a man out and took the key. You did that. There is a key.
It's really smart though. It's like the false bottom drawer,
Exactly.
of doors, which I think is really smart. And you think you get through one, maybe two, and then you're like, haha, and then you find yourself.
I'm more
the back.
just saying that, like, when I come up with puzzles, I'm like, oh, obviously I need a good puzzle because there's something on the other side of the door, but you don't know what it is until you solve the puzzle.
Yes.
So you're just like, why does this door suck so much? I'm like, well, because there's a thing. There's a thing there. That's why.
fair.
Let's get into this payload. So, players, how did we feel about the reveal of all of these plans cloaking the real money item in the middle?
I don't love that one of the countries now has the ability, or did have the ability, to make one of the keys. I mean, even from just a character perspective, Cammie's like, I'm working really hard to find all these keys, and they're just going to make one? That sucks.
Well, we don't know if it actually works, Like,
No, but like the fact that they're trying is concerning.
No, I agree completely, yeah.
Julia, you and the question surgeon, Michelle Spurgeon, were thinking right along the same lines because she says, what was exactly the machine that Hothouse was making? And is the search of the salmon creating a Cold War kind of situation within the four nations?
It definitely seems like that. And I expressed in the episode, both in character and out of character, I don't want to really do war crimes and or be the catalyst for a war that's happening potentially between the countries. So
Yeah, Commander Vineyard was like, shh, don't worry about it. Shh. Like you're a horse. Like,
oh, my fellow players were also like, shh, don't worry about it.
no, it's
Yeah,
fine.
we were.
We're having fun. It's fine.
I was like, I just want to put that on tape ahead of time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I understand that Julia does not want to do war crimes. You're a pirate.
Oh yeah, Brandon, because pirates constantly doing war crimes.
Yeah,
and,
they
like,
do,
starting
Julia.
wars. No, pirates specifically do not particularly want to be invested in the politics of their countries.
That's why privateers exist. That's why you got hired to privateer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I was not happy about that as well. The fact that there is paperwork that says, oh yeah, we hired these 3 privateers, including the former prince of this country, to go ahead and do a potential act of war if people find out, is not ideal,
It's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Commander
right.
Vineyard did say explicitly that Troy's name was on those documents.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
He did say that.
He did.
I am firmly on the side that chaos among stable nations is good for pirates.
Until they're unstable.
Yeah, that is better for pirates.
Debatable.
Then we take over and become the new continent of stable country thing. We no longer have to pirate.
Listen.
Oh yeah, that's what pirates do. They love becoming president.
That's when you become the man,
Brandon, you know what? It's fine that Cammie and Umbi have different goals in their pirate lives. That's totally fine.
And Troy's just like, look at my muscles.
I get to do a wish.
Eric, Dr. Spurgeon also wants to know, how did you come up with the mechanic of taking HP for forethought?
Yes, good. And Amanda, good job for remembering that. Yeah, that's something that I've taken from Blades in the Dark, where you can make rolls and you kind of have like resource points, because Blades in the Dark is all about heists. So if you want something, you can say, oh, I actually had it the whole time, and you can make a roll on it. HP is kind of like the resource pool for everything in Dungeons and Dragons. So I thought, give me a slice of your HP, and you can have it, and you had it.
I also think you did that in Camp-Paign 2 as well, when we did the heist on the government building.
Yeah.
You had us sacrifice a certain amount of HP or like time in order to get things prepared.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really like it. Like as a player, a thing that really held me back early on was feeling like, oh God, like if I don't do the right thing in any given step of, planning or, before we get into initiative or even in early initiative, then I'll have like lost my chance and fucked over my party and like there's nothing else I can do. I had other anxiety issues unrelated to Dungeons and Dragons, but I really like the idea that, you could do something that's interesting for the plot that is informed by what happens later and make an informed choice to be able to, trade some optionality for the future in order to have, revise the past slightly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what made the episode before this move faster, was that
Yeah.
we skipped forward from 30 minutes of discussion and be like, let's just do it. So then it's like, that wouldn't be fair of me to want to skip forward and also not give you the opportunity to have planned.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know what you're going to need. We're not Ocean's 11. We don't know how the plot is going to bang out, you know? So sometimes you don't know that you're going to need a thing until you're in the middle of the heist and you can be like, hey, can I make a sacrifice in order to have been prepared for this thing that we weren't anticipating?
Yeah, exactly. And you had plenty of time.
I tried to give Eric some of my real life mana, my real life, like, do you want a limb to be able to allow me to cut out?
Bro, you tried to Venmo me a finger?
Yeah, I wanted to Venmo Eric a finger in order to be able to cut out all the flailing that we did around the door, but he would not accept it.
Brandon, in real life, you could have just said your real life resource pool is, in fact, American money.
No, I wanted. You kept asking me for, like, you wanted, like, a firstborn child, or, like, you kept, like, you wanted, like.
Yeah, but that's because I'm giving you the ability to play piano.
Yeah, exactly.
I now have a golden fiddle that Eric gave me. Is that good?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, my DM asked me for my firstborn child in exchange for running a D&D campaign. Is this a fair trade?
Yeah.
Well, getting into episode 26, shout out to Blue Spectre, who came up with some Drew's fan art essentially immediately after the
good.
episode dropped. Absolutely incredible. Eric, would you tell us about this this sweet friend?
My favorite
Amanda,
boy.
stop calling these really fucked up characters sweet friends. You need to stop.
He's a sweet friend. He's a perfect boy. I love him.
Just stealing part of our life force and our souls and our future. That's fine. Yeah, sweet friend.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I went kind of like outfit out. I wanted it to really feel like a real, like, is this, in a real kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean way, is this pirate a ghost? Like, is this sailor also dead? And I kind of went out, like, from sweater outwards. Also, like, I did a lot of research into, like, the types of cable knitting of different sweaters and what they mean.
Oh, they have meetings? Oh, that's
Oh,
Yes,
yeah, like
yeah.
Shetland Islands versus other places.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That's
the,
cool.
the iconography and the different stuff is like, you know, it's like, oh, you want God's protection, I want life, I want money, I want stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking about that from there and the type of patterning. So I kind of went outwards from there. Also, like, you guys kept asking me if you could get stuff. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
we did that.
and I said no, which really means shut up, let me think for 5 seconds. So I knew I wanted to put that in there for you, and also be able to, like, trade in, have different places to trade in amber as well as other stuff.
Sure. As much as I love having my amber for when we return back to the hold, I do enjoy having a merchant that I can also exchange amber for. Though I was, like, so reticent to, like, give Drew's amber. I did not like his vibe. I did not want to give him anything that he possibly would want. So
Yeah.
I realized who I was imagining, or what I was imagining just now with Drew's. I was imagining a sailor version of the spider person from Cult of the Lamb. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that sells you villagers.
Yeah.
That thing, that guy in a, like, cable knit sweater and, like, with a pipe or something, you know?
okay,
I do want to say it was pretty funny of me to make a fruit fly, so
that's very funny. I like it a lot.
I just didn't know if anyone thought.
It was hilarious.
I
Hey,
thought it
bud.
was really funny.
Very fun. Very smart. I
It's
love it.
also-
the reason why I didn't do a spider is because I did it for fruit fly, because I think it'd be fine.
It's also really funny when I sent you, my spouse, $5.
Can I tell you, I also just kind of said for fun that, like, hey, Amanda, give you $5. And then I decided to backfill. The reason why was because you got something for free from Drew's, which I thought was a funny thing to do.
Yes, I wasn't sure if that was a backfill thing or something that you had planned, which I think is really interesting. And then I specifically remember you telling Brandon right before we did the edit for that episode, being like, can you add, like, a little, like, magic, like, transaction noise to Amanda sending me this money? And I really thought that was a smart way to handle that.
Yeah, put some magic shimmer on that, please. Yeah.
And you did, Brandon. You did a great job with that.
Thanks.
Sound design is text in Join the Party. There's a lot of information that you can get from how Brandon treats the different voices and interactions
True facts.
on tape.
The other thing that I thought was very funny was that the three of you decided to discuss your plan in front of the person selling you stuff, which is why I immediately raised the price when you changed your plan.
Damn it.
It's fair and also
It was so
rude.
funny.
Yeah, that's on us. That's our bad.
It was 3 amber. No, in fact, it's 4 amber. You're sorry you can't. It's like, oh, I have this other thing, but unfortunately you can't spend money on it. Sorry.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry.
It was so funny. Hey folks, this is just a question for any of you. If you're in a market where there's haggling, don't tell people what you're going to do in front of them.
Yeah.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
This is a fun fact from me to you.
Quietly discuss it away from the booth and then return and be like, here's time to haggle, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you definitely could have haggled. He was just there, but you just decided to be like, okay, we're changing from the ice plan to this other thing. What do you think about that, merchant? And they're like, how much money do you have? It's that much.
Mm.
It's
We
that
did
much.
try to haggle. It just wasn't. It was a pretty stubborn price, He
He
wanted.
knew it
wanted
was
what
a
he
thing we
wanted.
needed.
Yeah, because you discussed you discussed the plan in front of the guy, and he was like, oh, well, it sounds like you want this thing. So
Sounds like you need this badly, so my price just went up.
yeah.
I do really like the ice plan, and I regret that we couldn't do it. But what we ended up with definitely got us there in one piece, which I appreciate.
We did do it with Havana. He was in an ice bath.
Yes. I was
Yeah.
giving everyone iced tea. It was
Important.
a thing.
It was funny.
Library Chick says, so Baba Rutabaga said that the glasses weren't hers, but did she make them for someone else? And is that why she could use the glasses the way she did to talk to Cammy? Julia, what do you think?
I don't know. I was very surprised that Baba Rutabaga was able to contact Cammy through the glasses. It was a moment where I rolled that nat 20 during the soldier's tea leaf reading, and I was like, oh shit, here comes some Baba Rutabaga stuff. And then the fact that it was using the glasses, which Eric admonished me, I can't remember if it was on or off mic, being like, you haven't used it to read a book since like you simply haven't done that yet. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't. That's a good point. Good point.
No, I had in my head that Baba Rutabaga wanted to talk to you through a book the whole time.
Okay.
It must have been so
And it
frustrating to be
you
like,
just didn't do it. And
why
I
is
was like,
Umbi doing it?
yeah. But I'm like, yeah, there you go. In my head, she did not talk to you through the glasses. Baba Rutabaga put a book in front of you that she was ready to talk to you through. It was through the book. And then she controlled Donnie and put the glasses on your face.
I don't love that she can control Nani. I'm just going to say that out loud. Also, was it a particular book or was it any book if Cammy had used the glasses to read them? Okay. Okay, good to know.
You were falling, if I remember, you were falling through the air. You were falling through the book, and then there was a ledge. So I think it was through any book.
Okay, good
Like
to know.
it was like there was a door that you could have grabbed onto, if I remember correctly. So that's like Baba Rutabaga inserted herself into this thing.
Gotcha, good to know.
Yeah.
On the Reading Rainbow Superhighway of information.
Yeah. Baba Rutabaga said, take a look. It's in a book.
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we have plenty to talk about regarding the Divine Labyrinth and all kinds of great game and character questions that we've received. But first, let me pop into the kitchen for a quick refill of our little snack platter here. There's puffed rice. Hey, it's Amanda. I hope everybody out there is having a very happy Halloween if that is something you celebrate. I know that I am spending this weirdly warm day in New York City enjoying all of the beautiful sights and pumpkins and gourds. I love a time of year where gourds are really celebrated. So this is really my time. Welcome to the midroll. Welcome especially to our newest patrons, Grace, Gavin, and Shane. We can only make this show because of the support of patrons like you. And I hope you are enjoying everything that the Patreon has to offer, from ad-free episodes to access to the Discord, including our brand new Conversation Pit channel, by the way, and party planning. There's more than 50 episodes of party planning for you to catch up on. 50. That's a lot. If you want to have your name read here in the midroll and enjoy all that stuff, come on over at patreon.com/jointhepartypod. This week at Multitude, I know we're all looking at the sort of creepy stuff around the world right now on Halloween, but have you ever wondered what life would be like on a planet different from our own? Do you see like a kid dressed as an alien and you're like, hey, what would an alien be like? Why are all those aliens humanoid? Why can't they be like, I don't know, a bug or a cloud of gas? Dr. Moya McTeer has thought about it. So go on over to Exolore in your podcast app or exolorepod.com to listen to Dr. McTeer as she explores fictional worlds by building them with a panel of expert guests, interviewing professional world builders, and reviewing the merits of worlds that have already been built. I promise you are going to learn and laugh and gain an appreciation for how special this planet really is. We are sponsored this week by BetterHelp. And I know that I always have times where I'm like, you know, it'd be really good for you, Amanda. It'd be really good if you had like balanced meal, went to yoga, spent some time in the sun, called your grandma, read a book, didn't touch your phone, et cetera, et cetera. But I can't always make myself do the things that I know are good for me. I really wish I could, then things would be a lot easier. But something that's like a data point for me, something telling me that there's something, you know, making me tired or not otherwise sort of in line and in stasis and symbiosis the way that I want to be. So I talk about that kind of thing in therapy, and it really, really helps me. I feel like I finally found a therapist that I get along well with, who understands me, and it's making a big difference in my life. And I really feel strongly about talking openly about therapy as a thing that a lot more people could benefit from than currently access it. And I really want to encourage you that if the idea of starting therapy is overwhelming or inconvenient where you live right now, that you consider using a tool like BetterHelp. BetterHelp is entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. Best of all, you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I did this lots of times when I used BetterHelp, and it is definitely a good feature that helps you start to figure out how you're going to get along with someone and what you're looking for in a therapist. So make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/jointheparty today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/jointheparty. We are also sponsored this week by Ravensburger Cree Art. This is a very cool paint by number experience from Ravensburger. Now, I was recently visiting my grandma, and she had several of her Cree art hung up on the wall. She did them, and she was so excited that she hung it up over her fireplace. And if you are looking for a hobby to soothe yourself, maybe to do with kids, maybe to do with a relative, to take on vacation, to just have something to, I don't know, keep your hands busy while listening to a great podcast, consider Cree Art by Ravensburger. Whether you are a seasoned artist seeking a new challenge or someone like me who is a beginner and trying to explore painting, because like, hey, that was really fun when I was a kid and I don't ever get to paint as an adult, so like, let me try it now. It's a great way to do it. So you can shop Cree Art by Ravensburger in your local game and hobby store, your craft store, or on Amazon today. That's Cree Art, CREART by Ravensburger. And finally, we are sponsored once more by our friends at Bedoni's Designs. This is the ultimate place for TTRPG enthusiasts looking for unique and high-quality gear inspired by the game. I have a +1 to AC sweatshirt, and I love it dearly. It is blue, it is fuzzy, it is very comfortable. I love that I get to wear it around, and it's not like, you know, a t-shirt with the like Wizards of the Coast logo on it. It's not, you know, a dice pun, which, you know, no shame. You guys might enjoy that. But I love the like subtle pastel sort of girly version of, that's girly with an IE, like for like trendy girlies. I feel like a trendy girly when I wear the clothes by Bedoni Designs. I'm not going to lie to you. They have t-shirts, they have tanks, they have hats, they have sweatshirts, all kinds of incredible stuff. You got to go check them out at Bedoni Designs. That's BODONI designs.etsy.com. Whether you're looking for something to wear out and about, a gift maybe, gift season is coming up for someone who loves TTRPGs in your life, or you're not a cosplayer, but you do want to kind of wear something cool for like your next convention or gaming session, go for it. Check them out and use the code JOINTHEPARTY for 10% off your purchase, active now through November 24th. So get those orders in under the deadline before November 24th. That's Join the Party at bedonidesigns.etsy.com. And now let's get back to the show. All right, folks, we are back, and I've got some garlic-free eggplant dip for all you Amandas out there.
Wow.
Enjoy.
I want to admit something from the previous episode. I had a whole thing planned. I had written out all of these fun country aphorisms
Oh, yeah.
for Papa Rutabaga to say to Cammy while it was happening. And I was so in the moment that I forgot to do it. So then the next episode I said, piss. I have all of these country aphorisms. Brandon, will you put them in for me? And then you did. But hey, folks, just do the fun thing that you had set up. And I'll admit that I got so stuck into it that I forgot to do it.
You're just so into the role play. That's fine. I love that.
But in the moment, we weren't like, oh, weird, really letting us down in this moment. Like, you just happened to have prepared a thing that you forgot you had.
Yeah.
I know, but it's like I really worked hard on them, and then I was annoyed at myself. Like, you'll stick out like a hibiscus horse in an Earl Grey hound race.
It's really
I
good.
was like, come on, Eric. Come on. Use it.
That's fair, man.
Thank you for letting me put that in.
I'm glad that it made it into the final episode,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
So let's turn our attention to episode 27, the first episode of the Divine Labyrinth arc. What a good name. We land there, we suss it out, we get separated and start the maze. There's also the reveal, before any of that even happens, of the big rhyme. Oh my God, this was a chilling, incredible role-playing game moment for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Shout out to one, gave me chills. I think we all gasped as you revealed the entirety of the rhyme. Really excited. Also, shout out to me being like, all right, let's do some critical reading in our poetry corner.
Yep, and Brandon noticing the capital T and they.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And listening back to the episode, the line, "You're a long way from home and it's ever been drier." Oh my God, I have goosebumps right now. It's
Very
so
good. It's very good.
Yeah. Gotta move the plot forward, folks. I don't know what to say. I'm just
No,
yes, it's the thing. I wanted this to happen. Having it on the wall was important. But no, I mean, it's just, it's plot.
Yeah.
Here's a plot. I gave you plot.
Julia, Brandon, anything that surprised you about this? Because unlike a lot of the arcs we've done so far, we kind of know exactly what we're sailing into. Like, we're not going to a thing called the book depository and then being like, meh. Like, the Divine Labyrinth is a divinely charged labyrinth, and in the middle of it is something we want, we think. Like, anything that surprised or delighted you or scared you about this first episode?
Yeah, I think in general, because of Cammy's nature and the conversation with Baba Rutabaga, I and Cammy both had a lot of trepidation in arriving at the Divine Labyrinth. And so I think in general, I was approaching the way that I was playing this with a lot of hesitancy because I don't know how my spells are going to be affected in this place when clearly I am not of a divine origin, and I don't know if Cammy in particular might be targeted because of that or anything of that sort. And now being separated from the group, it's a really interesting and kind of nerve-wracking experience, but also gives me a lot of opportunities for exploring Cammy's character in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that surprised me was, I still don't think I fully understand it. If there's anything extra to understand, but yeah, the mechanic of transporting to the top of the tower.
Oh my God, yes, let's start there. Okay, we got a ton of questions, and this was a cinematic moment for me as well. So Save Man says, Eric, how much anticipation did you have for us to activate that transport spell? Also, what was the mechanic for it? I'm going to tell you right now, I don't drop this reference very often. This is akin to the port key in the fourth book of the series that shall not be named. That same moment where I read that book, I remember very well being a child reading it and going no fucking way. I felt the same. Incredibly fun, incredibly interesting. Eric, where the heck did you get this idea from?
I thought it was neat if this didn't happen. Before we got there, I wrote down in my notes, is the front blocked up? Is there a tower in the middle where you can make eye contact with a statue you transport there? If you look around, is there another entrance that's only there for the labyrinth, but all the green tricks your eye? I just kind of write these notes to myself, and then I see where it goes, and if you guys end up exploring it, and then what ends up touching, whatever ends up happening, it's just what becomes canon. So, I don't, it's just what happened is that Troy did it, And then so Amanda rolled so well that Troy came back, and then immediately Julia's like, I want to do that, and then did it, and then did not roll well. So it was just like, yeah, you're right. That's what happens.
So was it just literally pointing at it that activated the spell?
Yeah, because I didn't have like a statue up there, but I needed, if you gestured at it, physically gestured at it, you got transported there one way, unless you saved.
Here's a question from the audience that I don't remember, honestly, if I considered, but Mixel91 says, why didn't Umbi and Troy just point at the tower again and reunite with Cammy?
Because we didn't know the mechanics of it, you know? And we also didn't know if there was a way to get down or, you know, we didn't know. We didn't know.
Yeah, and I think the idea was, I don't know if this is true or not. In my head, I don't know if it was made into tape or not, but part of the idea was like maybe Cammy can help us from the tower navigate the maze better.
Yeah, I think we said that on mic too, where like I was going to be the eye in the sky, the man in the chair kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah, literally a bird's eye view of the maze should help us significantly in getting through the maze. Was I think turning that splitting of the party into a unintentional advantage was at least my hope.
And it could have been a trap too. Yeah, I don't know.
Certainly could have been a trap, and communication was difficult. Like Tattooed and Tall said, Julia, did you ever consider trying to paper airplane a map to the rest of the party? And Eric, what would have been the DC on a kind of move like that?
100?
Yeah, it would have been pretty fucking high, I imagine.
Yeah.
And also, like, worst case scenario, I had sending. I could send you guys another message to, like, give you information.
You did do that.
Well, I know, but again, I could have done that.
Oh, I see.
Oh, what?
Love you.
Do you want to talk about that moment?
Only, of course, yeah. I mean, you could try. Certainly. That was funny.
Thank you, Brandon, for following through on the bit and splicing in that previous example.
Got it. You got it.
But I think that, yeah, like, even when I rolled fairly well on creating a map for Cammy, it was only for the area directly around the grove. So I don't think that would have been helpful for me to send to y'all anyway.
We didn't know at the time, but yeah.
The answer to these questions of why didn't they do it is because they didn't. Honestly, like that's always the answer to these questions. Every choice is available to you at all times, and most of the times I have mechanics for it to make sure that you can do what you want to do.
Oh, you had paper airplane mechanics?
You could have done it if you wanted to. I would have figured it out. You can do whatever you want. I want to know, for the three of you, what draws all of you so much to splitting the party. It happens a lot. Especially in this campaign. I think it happens a lot. And I don't know if it's like making plans or making rambunctious plans is very piratey. So I wonder, especially as it's Cammy wanders off and then Troy and Umbi blows things up and do some wild shit on their own. So what draws you to doing that so much in this campaign?
You know what? For me, it's you're creating such beautiful and large set pieces for us to play with that I want to see all of it, and by splitting the party I get to see it not only through the other player's eyes but my own eyes and my character's eyes.
Yeah.
I also think about, we got really fucked in the Bullseye arc by splitting the party, but you even said, you're like, there were a lot of threads you could have pulled on, but you only pulled on them like 60% of the way. And I'm like, well, now I need to pull on all of the threads 100%.
Yeah.
So we could only achieve that by everyone doing like their own individual things.
And in the Bullseye arc, you only got fucked because your friend fell down a tower when you didn't want that to happen. So you lost a lot of time.
Yes.
I think it's more, for me, it's like the classic D&D advice of don't split the party is mostly for fights. It's like if you get into a fight and you split your party, you lost, your healer, you've lost your range, or you've lost your tank. So like you're gonna be way less likely to beat that fight. But I think for D&D otherwise, like the reality is that we can still talk to each other unless you tell us not to. And we're here, so we sort of get the best of both worlds if you split it up, or like we learn some knowledge about this other thing while also being able to communicate that knowledge even if our characters aren't. Like I think it's just more fruitful and helpful in life and in D&D to split the party so you can learn more things more quickly, unless you're playing very, very classic D&D where it's like if you split the party you will die.
That's the main thing for me as well, is it feels like a way to gather more data to solve the puzzles, because the challenges you put in front of us are more interesting and complex and have more solutions. than a more maybe traditional style where the three of us are like brute forcing every perception or investigation or history check. Like it's fairly rare that all three of us roll the same check. And typically, you know, the person who rolls the highest will get the information and then share it or not with the rest of us. We're not like, you know, trying to triple our odds of success at any given check or encounter because that's kind of boring and just not the style we play.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah, I have faith that, of course, there's going to be times where you might want to, you know, throw something extra hard at us, but I sort of have faith that you find it more interesting to, throw us challenges that are better served by exploring different angles, you know, because they're more fun to listen to.
You don't have to do anything for me. I do what you guys do. Like, I think that and I think
like
that's
it.
fine. And I
Yeah.
think that's fine if you think you're doing something for me and I think that I do something for you. That's how good relationships work. But it's like, in cause and effect, there needs to start with a cause. So it's like, don't be afraid to do the cause yourself.
I'm not doing it because I think you want me to. I'm doing
Correct.
it because like it's interesting. I like the scenes. I like the characters. I like the variety. I like pulling in multiple threads. Like Julia said, it informs each other. Like you're saying, like the style of game you prepare is also because you're like these fucks are likely to split into two. So like I need two tracks here. Probably.
I do whatever you do. Like I do end up planning this game like really one session at a time. Also, if all of you went to the middle of the labyrinth, I think you would have had a fucking problem. I think it would have been bad. You would have literally thrown yourself into the middle of this thing. And no, I guess it would have been different, though. It's interesting.
Well, we actually had a question from Fred Awesome, who said specifically, similarly, why didn't you all just kind of join up at the observatory, but instead split the party and split the points? I actually think we were kind of min-maxing this. Like we were each able to have points accruing instead of the whole group only going one turn at a time. Like we had 2 point accrual games going simultaneously.
Yeah.
And, would it be better if Julia did rolls instead of Havana? Yes. But I think that actually ended up giving us more choices.
Yeah, I didn't think about that before, but that is, assuming we can share information at some point, that is definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah, which is to say, like, the first time I heard what Julia was doing in this episode was listening to the episode just before it came out, like the rest of you. So it was really interesting. It was really fun. And we have some questions here about kind of that process, starting with Question Broth with Malignant Sloth, who said, I am obsessed with the mechanics of the Divine Labyrinth Maze, especially the rolls. I'm loving the influence of the Camp-Paign on your DMing style. So, Eric, I'd love for you to say more on bringing the concept of a mixed success into D&D, especially how it's different from a DM's perspective. And players, are you loving it as much as I am? Because it's something I want to take into my future campaigns.
Immediately, yes.
100%.
Yeah,
really like it.
It's more fun than pass-fail, for sure.
Yes. 100%.
Just like class.
In the future, if some DM like slapped me down by being like, oh yeah, you slip a bad peel and you fall on your butt, I'd be like, I'm leaving.
No. Well, I mean, I think that Dungeons & Dragons does a bad job of expressing this in the first place. Like, the whole point of having a D20 system is you get more numbers. Like, inherently, it's more numbers than rolling 2d6, right? Like, you're going from 2 to 12 as opposed to 1 to 20, and it's spread out in that way. So it's like, if you have a DC, I think that good people running Dungeons & Dragons always will have that. Like, I think there is a pass-fail, but it's like there needs to be successes. It's like if I have a DC of 12 and you had 12, the 12 is always going to be different than the 20. I mean, that's why people celebrate when you get a nat 20, right? Because you roll the highest literal possible thing.
There's a gradation built in. It's not just pass-fail with a DC, but also a crit 1 and a crit 20 are different from other rolls.
Well, it's like theoretically, let's say you rolled 2 and you had a -2 to a stat, you can literally get a 0.
Mm-hmm.
And then that can go all the way to, imagine having like a +5 to something and you roll a 19, that's 24. So it's like there's this number degradation from 0 to 24, and then at the bottom is the nat 1 and at the top is the nat 20, right? And like you should use that degradation and then draw a line in the sand of what is success.
Mm-hmm.
What I got from this move, which I use as an extension of the Camp-Paign and this idea of moves from Power of the Apocalypse game, it's like you're in a mini game in a video game, right? I would not use this idea of mixed successes in Dungeons & Dragons unless you're doing something very specific. Like you're doing a mini game role that only makes sense for this particular thing you're doing. Good comparison to this is the murder mystery from Dimension 20 that they ran when they were doing the investigation checks and trying to get information. Then there was like if you roll a 15, you get bronze information. If you roll a 20, you get silver, and if you roll higher than that, you get gold in terms of the types of information. Like, don't rip apart the game system you're doing unless you're trying to ensconce it within a little pod, I think is my answer. Like, if you want to play, this is also like play any game other than Dungeons & Dragons stuff. It's like, if you want to play a game that has mixed successes and everything, play that type of game. But you can also jump into this small thing, which is, I only do this for the Labyrinth move. Like, I'm putting moves into D&D. And it's this little pod that we're kind of jumping into.
I think it's also really useful to have, in a way, set things that happen for each bracket of success.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I really liked the idea of like, oh, you roll this and you get a point and you meet a denizen of the maze, whether that's a positive or a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is like really interesting and smart. And like, as a player, I know at least somewhat what to expect when I roll within that bracket.
A little sub-question here from Colin Wade. I love the variety of situations you subject Amanda, Brandon, and Julia to in this campaign. I want to include more variety for my players as well. So, Eric, do you have a process to come up with the mechanics used in each event or location? And I would add to that, how do you decide when's the right time to, like, plop a mini game into our main storyline?
When you do things that D&D can't do. For example, a heist. Or navigating a labyrinth. If there's something that literally you cannot figure out a way to do it with checks and contests and saving throws, then you got to make something else. I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, I pulled this from the thing because we did something similar to this in the campaign when we did the bouncy house and when we did the woods, right?
Mm-hmm.
How else am I going to get you guys to feel like you're going through a maze other than this? And I did a different variation of it, this points system instead of like the successes thing that you did before, trying to steal things back from the puzzle cleric, etc. Or just like, you got to keep going until you're at the end. I want to do this point system because it's like you are in the maze, but you're also doing stuff inside the maze, and then eventually you will need to get out of the maze, but it will be difficult because, you know, you need to spend 5 points to get to the grove and to find the exit. Like, that's what happens when you go in a maze. Like, you don't just find the exit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Let's zoom into Cammie's experience in this episode. Here's from Fred Awesome. Just a comment, but I like how the NPCs keep telling Cammie to do or not do things that she has no immediate control over. For example, she didn't take the curse from Baba Rutabaga. Also, she can't just teleport out of the maze. Julia, your reactions to these are great.
I could potentially just teleport out of the maze. I'm not going to do that, but, you know.
Could you?
I mean, I have a spell, and if the maze doesn't fuck with that spell, I could potentially just teleport out of the maze.
The maze is gonna fuck with that spell.
The maze might have some thoughts.
Julia. Big if.
I don't know. I simply don't know.
It's a big if.
But yeah, I think that Cammie is frustrated in the best Cammie sense, where it's like someone is asking her to do something, and they're like, I mean, I'll try, but I can't really control that, so... Later, deuces.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of like around this whole thing of like, why haven't you done the thing I want you to do now? Like, do it right now. And
no one told me.
Yeah. Brandon, Amanda, how did you feel hearing the stuff that Cammie did for the first time?
I was really surprised and impressed that she just saw the harvester. I didn't know who that guy was, didn't know anything about him. Like, my God, that guy is scary. And I had a lot of questions that may or may not get addressed in future episodes of this arc.
Who could say?
I was gonna ask you, Eric, if I could just step out of the room for all episodes, and then because when I edit them, I get so excited that it's like doesn't feel like I'm editing because I'm learning along the way. So if I could just be kicked out of the room for all the episode and all of them.
You're saying you don't want to be a player?
Yeah, Brandon's like, I would like to stop playing and only edit.
Brandon,
the podcast.
if you wanted me to go get another player, I will go get another player. We can do that.
I want to both play, but then maybe like if you could hit me on the head real hard so I forget what happens. You know?
You already have Mementos disease.
Yeah.
I know, but it's not bad enough. So maybe you could make it worse, you know?
Okay. So we'll recruit more crows to come and like peck you.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
head.
Yeah, this stuff is really funny. I wanted you to see the Harvester immediately. I thought it was funny how, like, immediately they were like, all right, we're going to go to the Labyrinth. Uh-oh, there's a bridge. Oh, whoa. And then you're like, there's a guy with a scythe walking
I
behind
tried
you.
to warn you. I told you that
You
there was a
did.
bad
You did.
guy in there.
Yeah.
We had a full Scooby-Doo as a hijink adventure with my friendship arrow as you were like running face to face with a serious enemy.
It's so funny. You said bad guy, but that really did not get across, one, how close, and two, how nasty the Harvester is.
I don't know what else we would have done. I enjoyed our 25 words. I think Julia and I did a great job.
No, I think it worked. I could be wrong, but I think it doesn't matter necessarily in mechanics, but it was like turn left, not right, kind of thing, because of the Harvester.
That was good. To me, you guys were like, neat, and then you walked into the Labyrinth. Like, you didn't, like, keep your head on a swivel. Havana was not, like, looking out for bad people at all times. You're like, nice. Boop, boop, see you soon. Boop, 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 boop. Hope we meet up at the... It's like you guys were like, oh, yeah, we're at the Natural History Museum. Meet back here in 2 hours. Like,
You're
that's
at
the
the
vibe
antelope
you got.
diorama.
Yeah, it's like, meet back at the T-Rex. I'm like, all right, have fun. Okay.
Fair.
Well, here's a question about our new best friend, the Harvester. Milky Cross 95 wants to know, why just a pumpkin seed instead of the whole pumpkin for the head of the Harvester?
Who can say, I feel like.
Really?
The pumpkin head is overdone. You ever seen a pumpkin
Normal.
seed head?
What is this, David S. Pumpkins? No,
Yeah.
that's not scary.
It would be so. David says pumpkins would be so much funnier if he had a pumpkin head.
Right?
That would be so crazy. You don't even know it's Tom. It's Tom Hanks. It's just pumpkin head.
That's right.
Anything you want to say about this, Eric?
Yeah, I agree with Brandon. Pumpkin head played out.
Yeah.
So did pumpkin seed. But
Pumpkin seed butt? I don't even know about the butt of the Harvester.
no, not pumpkin seed. But
The butt's made of roots.
yeah, you guys didn't roll any investigation, so you didn't see the pumpkin seed, the harvester's butt.
It's true.
Damn.
That's on me.
That's a Dungeons and Daddies investigation roll.
I really wanted the harvester to be all the parts of plants that are not the parts people like the roots and the weird guts and the everything that's not the flesh of a fruit and the flowers we enjoy. So pumpkin seed head.
Makes sense.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm also particularly creeped out by a spindly villain. So it was a good image.
Someone asked me if I synced up the Labyrinth arc to Halloween, and they were like, and then you did a scythe wielding creepy guy. I'm like,
Nah, dude.
child, I will make this guy. It could be February. And this is the enemy that we're going to be doing.
I'll do what I want.
Cat Owl Dolls asks, is there something about Cammy we don't know, or was that statue just a dick in the garden?
That I don't know.
I think the statue's just a dick. I don't know. Who can say?
Who can
Yeah.
say? Who can say?
Who can say?
Yeah. Was there something in this episode I forget? Was there something that happened to Troy and Umbi that Cammy didn't see?
Only the ending where they see out of the corner of their eye the harvester.
Oh yeah, you didn't see it. You didn't know any of that.
Mm-mm.
No.
Did not know.
Didn't know his name.
No.
Didn't know any of it.
It's really hard to try to set up the next episode and being like, okay, so the thing, yeah, let's do that. Let's continue that thing that happened in the last thing to try to be as ambiguous as possible. Yeah.
Well, I'm finishing editing or I'm working on the next episode, and the first thing you say to Julia is, "Hey, Julia, get the fuck out."
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
Yeah.
You kicked me the fuck out.
EB Fella actually asked how long did it take for you to figure out the maze mechanics. I think they may have meant you, Eric, to plan it, but it also took us players, we had to get into a groove. And this episode was almost shorter than we typically release episodes because we played for a regular amount of time. But between the leaving and the coming in, the figuring out the rules and the kind of comparing notes as players, at least when Brandon and I were in the room, compared to when Julia was, it felt like 3 times more time had passed than the actual episode ended up being. And in the episode, it was, you made it seamless, Brandon. So I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I wasn't there for that. This sounds really new. It was, there were a lot of moving parts that I give you credit, Eric, for balancing.
I feel like I end up doing more with Cammy, but just because Julia is the only one doing the roles. It's you two and an NPC. So it's there's a lot more negotiation happening when it's you two doing it. So it's you do less, but there's a lot more going on.
Yeah, I'm also very aware of my time too, where I'm Eric, is it okay if I do one more action?
Yeah,
I think that was
exactly.
kind of I felt like I had to keep, that I had to keep, but like in order to make it feel balanced, I was like, all right, can I get one more action just for the sake of time and stuff like that? So,
I mean, you got to watch them do stuff. I think that's also part of the reason why it seemed like the players did not all go to the observation tower, where it's like Cammy got to watch them do stuff. And now I think you kind of jumped immediately into, I have a strategy with these points, which I thought was interesting, which is also why y'all kept the split.
Yeah. I also had a strategy with the points because, as was revealed in this episode, I knew what those blanks were that Amanda and Brandon didn't.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Shit. Well, that's what happens when you can see stuff from a mile up, and you see and you
big
kind of
old
get a
tower.
good sense of everything.
And you're rolling that 20.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, let's get into some bigger questions about Verda Stello and this campaign's world, starting with an important one from Colin Wade. Do the Craggish soldiers deployed at the outpost use the boiling reef as a hot tub?
Gosh, I hope so.
Gosh, I hope so. I hope there's a little, like, eddy right outside their sort of break room that they can dip themselves in.
Is it hot enough for them, though? Or is that just, like, tepid, you know?
I think it's hot. I think it's hotter than body temperature, which makes it hot.
But they, like... Are they? I can't tell if they're like used to it or if it doesn't feel that hot to them there. You know what I mean?
Maybe they have to sort of get used to the temperature, and so it's part of the like onboarding process to work there. Or people prove that they're really hardcore. They're like, I could be in here for hours, man. Like after they get used to it.
Yeah, that feels right.
Less hot tub, more dare.
I like it. Zachary Roca says, is Eric willing to establish the lore for how citizens of Verda Stello partake in safe, legal, medicinal treatment or recreational fun? I mean, if he made the phonetic alphabet, surely he's thought about that, right?
I don't understand how a phonetic alphabet and weed are connected.
Details.
Because it's all about the details, baby. You know?
The thing that I've tried to get across during this whole thing is like, people are living regular lives in the 4 countries right now. So it's like, they're doing whatever they're doing. They're like, I don't know, playing musical chairs in open fields right now. You know what I mean? And that's just what they're doing. They're playing basketball with a potato.
How it get bouncy?
It's a bouncy potato. It's an inflated potato.
It's a rubber potato.
It's a rubber potato. So it's like, all that stuff is happening, like, you know, in any fantasy world, everyone's living their lives around the stuff that's happening, which is why people are pirates in the first place, right? Like, the thing that I've been trying to get across this whole time is that people become pirates for various reasons. They can tell everyone they want to save Verda Stello and find the salmon and turn the cascade back on. But they also are like fucking just being pirates. It's been 50 years. If this was a fantasy story, the cascade would have been turned back on after 2. So it's like, you know, people are doing pirate stuff for their own reasons because their lives in their various countries are boring. So they're just like, they're doing regular stuff.
100%. And is one of those regular things
drugs?
Enjoying the devil's lettuce.
It's drugs, but you have to look at the face of the pot leaf before you grind it up.
Yeah, Cammy has definitely made a bunch of magic mushroom tea.
Oh, I'm sure.
Nice.
That is not going to be good when you are high and then you look at your remaining weed and it has a face. It's not.
There's like an
Not
eye.
ideal.
Instead of seeds and stems, there's an eye in it.
Oh, no.
I would recommend being from open fields and getting advantage on those wisdom saves.
Yeah.
I'm Not a Goldfish wants to know, are there underwater algae people?
Who can say?
Good question. Who can say? I'm not sure. And also, they have plastic. Didn't they think about the infinite lake when they invented plastic?
They obviously didn't.
No, they did not.
They have some of those, like, you know, that bacteria that can eat plastic. It's like they have those little guys. There's little guys that like to eat plastic. You know?
I don't know. We did do an entire allegory for California's water drought. I think that they don't. I think that they just have plastic.
That's fair.
Speaking of the infinite lake, Katie Hammond says, I was re-listening to the Camp-Paign and caught the reference to a salmon of knowledge. Was that one of the inspirations for the current wish-granting one in Verda Stello, or just an Easter egg, or does Eric just like salmon?
I think Eric also just, regardless of the answer, Eric does like salmon.
I do like salmon.
Yeah.
I think the salmon of knowledge is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's probably one of my favorite mythological creatures. Definitely top 3.
Yep.
So I always like putting the salmon of knowledge is very funny. Can you remind me the salmon of knowledge is just vibing, right? Like he's just there.
Just
He's
there.
just like in a pond somewhere, and if you eat him, you get all the knowledge in the world.
Yeah, I love that. That's fucking awesome. I love that.
Mhm.
Like you see, you don't have to do anything.
He wasn't cursed.
It
Yeah.
wasn't cursed. Yeah, it wasn't like like Apollo didn't pee in the pool, and now
Nah.
the salmon is smart.
Nah.
It just is. I fucking love
Yeah.
that.
You just have to find him. That's like the journey.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so funny to me because here in Seattle, there's a fish ladder, a salmon ladder for salmon to go from below to the high tide. And we went there and I was watching one try to get up there, try to get the ladder, and it just kept going like flew over the air and then falling back down. Flew over the air and then falling back down. And I'm like, these salmon have no knowledge. They are not smart.
It's because they didn't eat the hazelnuts from the tree and then fall into the well of knowledge.
Ah,
exactly.
these basic ass salmon.
Basic ass salmon hasn't fallen into the well of knowledge or wisdom. I can't remember.
We went there with you in Seattle, and it was funny seeing the salmon ladder both as like a date spot and also a spot to bring children who don't care at all.
Yeah, it was like 11 a.m. on like a weekday.
And it was just like a bunch of 3-year-olds screaming the
Yeah.
whole time.
Hmm.
It was very good.
But they're learning about the environment.
I took a lot of pictures of the fish ladder signs. They were incredibly fun.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mixel91 asked, hypothetically, how would each of you multi-class your character? I loved the class of the captain from Valda's. I love the idea of having the first mate that you also control, and I think that would be a really fun direction for Troy to grow into.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll pass because I have no idea. Julia?
I'd have to think about it because you know me, I love a good build. I think I might like fuck around with murder
Yeah.
and make that like really interesting because Cammy's pretty beefy in terms of like HP and stuff like that. So I think that would be like an interesting way to approach it. And I think it would be really cool to mix witch with some sort of divine cleric-y class.
That would be cool.
Nice.
I like don't even know how these would mix together for multiclassing. Like I already black out. I don't even like look at the multiclassing options because in like the book it's like, yeah, multiclassing's broken. Have fun.
Yep.
But I wouldn't even know how to mix the Valda's ones together.
From Moss Sentient Rock and Rachel Becca, does everyone in Verda Stello speak the same language? Are there dialects?
I think we've established there are dialects because we know about Craigish French.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
do. And Moss was like, hey, like, you know, there are obviously regional dialects, but like has one taken over like English kind of has, and like we made it take over, to be sort of like the de facto language spoken across countries?
That's an interesting question.
Or is there like a Star Trek Universal Translator situation happening? You know?
I cannot think of a way to express this, and maybe because you need to think about it really hard. But it's like the way that people usually express this is through the analogs of European countries and fantasy races. Is like, oh yeah, all the dwarves are Scottish, and then all the elves are this, and all the blanks are this. So it's like I can't think of a way to express that in a way that makes any sense. But I think that there are definitely dialects. I think they all started as one language and then kind of like changed as it being in different places. But I think that like why I like being in the Great Salt Sea is like everyone needs to communicate with each other, which is why I like that we have Amber and all that stuff. So it's like the answer is yes. I just have not figured out a way to express it on the podcast.
Well, we can
Gotcha.
we can get Dr. Gretchen McCulloch to come in and kind of do the you know language analysis of Verda Stello. My headcanon is that the dialects are not yet separated enough from the common root that they are all still mutually understandable, which is the case with lots of language in lots of places. German and Yiddish, like all kinds of things where like you can still understand your neighbors. And so there isn't like one that's taken over more so than there's like common roots where you can get it. And you're just like, it's so funny how they say Amber.
Yeah. There's also just like, because we're humans, there's just like such an inherent idea of tribalism and like, why do you have a language? Because you have a country, because you're a people. And just like, I do not have the brain power to like deal with that in this world and not something I want to explore. So it's like, German and Yiddish is a very good example. It's like, well, why does Yiddish exist? Because the Jews who are in one place talk to each other enough and combined it with the stuff that they in Aramaic and ancient Hebrew and created this thing, blah, 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 right? And it's like Germans saw it as like the blasphemers German, right? So it's like the ideas of where languages come from are to kind of get into it a little bit too much
They're
for me
always
to like explore it.
contextualized with society.
But instead, like I'll fucking throw I'll fill it in like with the French thing, right?
Yeah.
With being in the big forest. Like, yeah, they all sound French because they are trying to be separatists, and I thought that was funny.
I think the next thing you need to do to really level up your GM game, Eric, is learn every language. If you could just go ahead and do that.
No. I got to invent languages, Brandon. That's the only way I'll be respected, and they'll let me on Dimension 20.
Gotta be the con lag, bro.
Yeah, that's on me.
All right, guys, we're going to have here our penultimate section is a little bit of question. What is it called? Quick time in Mario Party? Is that what it's called?
You mean quick time events, mini games?
Yes, we're going to have a quick time event of quick time questions from Moss's Sentient Rock. All right, so Moss has given us a huge list of incredible questions that I will be drawing from in future after parties. I'm going to read the question out, and the first person to answer takes the question off the board, and then I'm going to have to go to another one.
So we're using the Moss to direct us towards, like, following Moss to find where the river is.
Exactly.
It's directing us through. Mm-hmm. I learned that I was next to Brandon on a plane, and I was
Delta
watching
flight.
A documentary. And it told me about that,
Yeah.
Do you want us to buzz in or just immediately answer?
No, just say it. Just say it.
All right.
What's your character's guilty pleasure?
Tea.
Nice.
It's only guilty if you had an upbringing making you feel guilty.
If non-Cammy had a familiar, what would it be? Brandon, do you have like a little lighter or like a little eternal flame that can't get too close to your things?
A living flame would be really cute.
I think it would be a little pear. Just a little pear that ambles around with me, you know?
That's great.
Okay.
That's great.
I kind of love that in, like, it would be, I don't know, this feels like such an archetype to me, but like having a little, maybe it's a Dr. Honeydew and Beaker situation that you have a little pear that goes beep, 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 and you're like, it's going to be fine. And then it blows up in your face.
Exactly.
That's very
Exactly
good.
what I was thinking.
I also really love that because there are so many options in the Find Familiar spell that are just fucking useless. So a pair would be among those really useless kind of familiars, I feel like.
What's the most precious thing your character owns? I think Troy definitely has the he's like a part of like a memento from a comrade, and I think that handkerchief that he tore up and gave half to Three Lips, the other half is the most precious thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
That or the
muscles.
closest barrel to him at any given moment.
Of course.
That barrel's his best friend, and at any given moment, Troy walks into a room, figures out if there's a fire, what's he going to save? The answer is the closest barrel to him.
Fair enough. Not his companions, the closest barrel.
No, that's
a group
the training.
Of small school children across the room, and he's
No,
like, "Where's the
sorry.
barrel?"
Sorry.
I love this is your Kingsguard training. If there's a fire, what do I save?
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Which PC or NPC has been part of a pyramid scheme?
Umbi.
Havana Tropicana.
Oh, it's also Havana
no.
Tropicana.
And Arello. Arello is a fop. Of course Arello is in a pyramid
Arello
scheme.
started the pyramid scheme, yeah.
No, Arello is like level 3, where like Arello goes on retreats, but is not in the inner circle. Be like,
Yeah.
all right, so what you have to do is I'm gonna give you this box, and then you sell the box to 3 other people, and they sell the box to 3 other people.
Incredible. Yeah, he has a healthy downstream, but not a lot of upward potential.
He hasn't gotten the pink Cadillac ship yet.
Very good.
Nailed it.
And Julia, perfect segue into finally, which country has the best public transportation? What is it like?
Not Overstock.
It's probably Hothouse.
Ooh, yeah. Engineered. I'm imagining a lot of like elevators that go like a sky tram, harkening back to Camp-Paign 2, like little elevators that can go every which way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's got like what's it called? Like the magnetic speed rails like Japan has.
Yeah. I think they invent the bus like once every 6 months, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're
There's a
inventing
lot
the
of
bus.
disruption in the market when it doesn't need to be disrupted.
They're like constantly building and unbuilt and like tearing things down. They're truly unbuilding it.
Right? It's like that would be everybody's thesis.
I think that they have like in a real like Hunger Games tech sort of way. I've been thinking about this a lot because we saw some movies lately, and I keep seeing the prequel Hunger Games movie, which is just like Hunger Games, but it's World War II, which is so funny. But it's like, I keep thinking about this, like, when people like accidentally invent eugenics or like a poll tax it's like, no, instead of paying for your subway ticket, you have to do a word problem. And it's like, no, that's bad too. That's also bad. You can't
Also
make
bad.
people do that.
Yeah, no, that's bad. I hate it.
Hey, you want to go around and say that we all think it's bad? We can all say it's bad.
Yeah, poll taxes are bad.
I don't
Yeah,
want to live in that world.
agreed.
Good. Just want to get on record that we all think eugenics is bad. If we could just go around really quickly.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Eugenics bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty whack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of other non-controversial takes, it's time to spoil the plank. Time to spoil the plank, people.
So many questions from people just asking me what's going on, and I'm like, I can't tell you. I just can't tell you.
Alrighty, let's jump right in with from A through Z. Does Baba Rutabaga have such a line on Nani, such that she could spy through Cammy through her, or maybe even force Nani to do something that works against Cammy?
God, I hope not, but who can say?
Word.
Who can say?
Hey, what do you guys think? Can we go back to the part where we said controversial opinions?
No,
I don't
go
know.
away.
I don't know what you're talking about.
From Am Not a Goldfish, since Audrey shows up everywhere the crew has been, and she and Cammy are BFFs, shrug emoji or something, 4 eye emojis, is Cammy maybe double cursed to pave the way for Audrey wherever Audrey wants to go and is unknowingly at Audrey's beck and call?
Well, regardless of the answers to Audrey, I mean, we know that Cammy is like quadruple. Like every curse is just upon Cammy, right?
So
That's just
unfair.
how Cammy lives life. Julia looks
So sad.
confuddled.
Cammy's like, I don't necessarily think I'm cursed.
And then everyone in the labyrinth is like, yes, you are. Leave.
Who can
It was
say?
the powers, and then you had to share a boat with Umbi, and then
Yep.
Yeah, and then you gave Havana the book of the path.
Shut up.
EP Fella says, a fifth type of green folk? What the fuck does that mean?
yeah.
We also don't know.
Who can say?
Who
I
can
rolled
say?
so low.
Who knows?
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Ceci says, is the maze related to Square King Commander Vineyard?
I don't think so.
No, but that was really funny that you said that.
Mhm.
Mage Silverleaf, what's the relationship between the planter and the harvester? I would love to know.
I forgot that you guys didn't even know the name of the character was the Harvester.
Yes.
Yet.
Mhm.
That's wild.
Yes.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, you're going to hear us find out. It's so good. Speaking of which, Katja says, is the pumpkin seed harvester a creature that can be reasoned with or won over, or do they just serve their one specific purpose? Like, could you talk to them if you wanted to?
Who can say?
Who can
Who
say?
can say?
From Fred.
Hey,
is-
can one of you try to just talk to the Harvester? Just like ask him some questions.
I'll get right on that.
Take a chair and turn it around and be like, hey, dude.
pull a lamp right over you? Yeah. From Fred, is the harvester taller than the maze walls? How is he able to track the party? Who can say?
I mean, that one's
can
like
say?
some magic skill or something, probably. I don't know, but who can say?
Mhm. And finally, I think the question on all of our minds from Mel118, will we ever find out who's behind the carvings and the keys? Has all of this happened before?
I think we'll definitely find out who's behind everything, but I can't say for sure whether this has all happened before.
What if we just ended this campaign like 10 episodes before Eric actually reveals anything? It's just like,
Yeah,
that's the end of the campaign.
We got
Sounds like a thing we definitely do. Yeah.
HBO canceled us. We can't do it. I'm just like, I know that we kind of blew past it, but like, I'm just surprised that I think Cammy's the only one who's like unsettled by the fact that someone created a device to create something divine.
Mm. Yeah,
I'm pretty unsettled by it, and I made it.
I am too.
Yeah. I don't think,
And you have it on your ship, and you also have it on your ship now.
Yeah.
Parked right outside the Divine Labyrinth, baby. I'm sure nothing's going to happen there.
I don't know that I'm unsettled by it because, like, one, we don't know that it actually works. Two, it could just be that, like, you know, sort of like two toddlers hitting blocks together trying to make it work. Like the divine part might not have anything to do with it. They might have just been like trying to find the salmon. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Listen, Brandon, isn't that just what the the particle accelerator is? It's like we are children putting blocks together and seeing if anything happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Except they're particles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it could be equally likely in my head right now at least that like they do have some divine intention or some like specific intention, or the particles hit, it explodes, and they unintentionally, you know, create some divine thing, you know, but I guess intention doesn't really matter in that instance. It still happens either way, but
Yeah. Precisely.
Eric just gave me eyes.
I didn't say anything. Just whatever. I'm not saying that their intentions are divine. I'm saying that, like, I guess I don't have a better word for it, but it's like the keys are important.
Mhm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
I'm unsettled. I'm certainly unsettled by the key mold.
Yeah, but don't we just assume that everyone is trying to do this? Like a lot of places are trying to do this, you know?
From how other people have talked to us about thinking that the keys were real, like many of them have dismissed it. Some of them are like, oh, like I thought I'm surprised you think that they're real also. I am kind of validated and also a little concerned that it's like a state project for Hothouse. So I am excited, and I think that means that we're on the right track, and pursuing them is a good idea. The next time a hater tells us that that's just a riddle, we know that's not.
It's also like fucked up too, because, you know, as pirates, we're searching for the keys as they exist. The idea that like someone can go about trying to create them, I think, is so
it's against the whole thing. That's
it's
game
against
breaking.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there could be a fool's errand. Might not be able to, you know? Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I'm excited for the Sea Whip to fight an entire country's navy.
I'm not. Again, I don't want to fucking go to war.
Well, at least there's nothing written down saying that the Sea Whip did it.
Yep. Too true.
So I plan the things that happen one session at a time, but I do have a rough idea of things happening everywhere. Like, yeah, dudes. Yeah.
Eric's bouncing as if we're about to tell him to go run a foot race.
I think, like, and not to go back to this episode, but, like, I think the thing that concerned me the most about that, like, being a privateer seemed like a great idea until we realized that these were, like, two countries and that this was, like, so involved in the keys, and it was at a much higher level than I think any of us anticipated this heist being
this
at.
conspiracy goes all the way to the top, Julia.
Well, that's why I was so excited that you guys were so bad at the door, because the heist turned into 2 full episodes of figuring shit out.
Yes.
And then in the end, you guys got out in the various ways that you got out, right? But so it's like, oh, wow, we just, like, had fun playing D&D. Oh, there's an international incident involving 3 countries that we just walked into. And I'm just like, yeah, you motherfuckers. I just wanted to talk. I know we kind of like now we're in the Divine Labyrinth, and then Drew's happened immediately afterwards. But I just wanted to touch on that for a second.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a pirate's life for me.
It's fucked up.
Lots to do, a lot to figure out, and a lot more coming down the pike for all of us here at Join the Party. So remember, become a patron, ask questions in the conversation pit, enjoy the party planning coming out in a week and change. And guys, tune in on Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Woo!
Woo.
Wee. Yar.
Arr. I've asked ye.
All right, folks. May your rolls trend ever upward.
I'll sing you a song that all green folk know. Until the water falls home.
That only began 50 years ago.
Until the water falls home.
We seek the deep lake and a wish-granting salmon.
Until the water falls home.
So hoist up the sails and load up the cannons.
Until the water falls home.
A rush on the tide, sail through the cascade, an adventure ships, a ceaseless parade. I dream of roots buried in the deep alone, but we can't well sleep till the water falls home.
Sorry, that was what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. Here,
I was
you
just
say it.
excited.
Then you say it.
No, it's okay.
Julia,
Please.
you say it.
I don't want to.
Julia, you can say it. You do it.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
All right, Amanda, please.